Matthew 5, verse number 43. Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and have thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. The title tonight, probably one of the hardest commandments Jesus gave. One of the hardest commandments that Jesus gave. And I would say amen to that. This is the Bible. This is God's Word. And what we just read is true. It's the Bible. It's not a suggestion. It was a command. Verse 44, but I say unto you, but I request of you. No, I implore you. No, I say unto you, there's no wiggle room here. There's no room to back up. There's no beeper for reverse. Love your enemies. Don't hate them. Love them. Don't despise them. Love them. Don't kill them, obviously, as some of our folks in the Hamas would do. Love them. Love them. If you've got a real enemy, and, you know, we'll talk about that in just a moment. How does this happen? You know, most of us have encountered some enemies along the way. Don't act like you haven't. You have. You know, the weird thing is friends come and go, but enemies accumulate. Friends come and go, enemies accumulate. Sometimes it seems like, I guess, they're multiplying, huh? But if you've got somebody that you consider enemy, if you've got somebody that doesn't like you, if you've got some so-called friends that have attacked you or will attack you, if you know people who've hurt your loved ones, they would probably qualify. Loving your enemy, if you know somebody's hurt somebody that you love, loving your enemy is probably not at the top of your list. It's probably not something like, I remember we preached Sunday about putting on bowels of mercy, getting up every morning. You probably don't have a card in your car that says, love so-and-so, if that's your enemy. You probably don't have, I was listening to a testimony of a young man who had his goals and stuff taped to the ceiling. When he laid awake at night, he'd see them. You probably don't have love so-and-so taped to your ceiling or on the mirror in the restroom where you get ready. It's probably not like the Bible verse you put on your car. You may have some good verses on Jeremiah 29:11. You may have that taped all over your house. You got it on the refrigerator. But how many of us got love your enemies? This verse right here somewhere. I don't. I'm not saying I wouldn't. We probably don't have it up for memorization, do we? Now, most of you could quote part of it, especially this part. This is not something that's at the top of our list. But really, what difference are we than the world? How different, if we're peculiar and supposed to be peculiar, and I know that has to do with attitude and actions and even apparel sometimes, but I want to say to you, there ought to be a difference in us and the world. And perhaps no greater way to see a difference than to say, love your enemies. A lot of other things that we'd like to do to our enemies besides loving them. Like getting even or making them suffer. If you've suffered at the hand of an enemy, you may have it drawn out in a drawer somewhere. You got it detailed what you would like to do to this person. You got it wrote out. I mean, like a will. You got it wrote out what you like, your wishes for this person. And, I was talking, and it was just in jest, but I was saying something about an individual the other night, and I promise this is a political figure, and you would probably agree with this statement. And I said this person's name to somebody, and they said, "Preacher, I'm going to be honest with you, I'd have a hard time mustering up a tear for that person." It was a political figure. If I said his name, you would know his name. It's not Joe Biden either. Although, no. All right, moving on. And I'd have a hard time mustering up a tear for that person. And I had to say honestly to that individual, you know what? If you were to ask me right now, I would have a hard time with that too. God transcends our little petty things and says, if you really want to love me and live for me and look like me, here's how you do it. Matter of fact, this is what I died doing. He died doing this. He had his hands outstretched while taking a spear in his side while doing this. As blood and water gushed out of his side, he died doing this, loving those that did not love him back, loving his enemies. And I want to say this, just because it's on my heart, not because really it has much to do with this, except one thing. But, I tell you, there are certain people that and not, me and Pastor Billy Seats were not together a lot, and we didn't spend a lot of time on the phone. Matter of fact, I may go a long time without even seeing him or talking to him. But you know what it made me realize as I was outside praying this morning, and I was listening to one of their songs from years ago with Katie on the piano, and I can't remember the name of the song now. It was good. I listened to it 18 times. I wish there was a repeat button on that YouTube. If y'all help me on that, because I couldn't find it. I'm sure there is, but I couldn't find a repeat on the YouTube. Kept going to some crazy video under it. Some weed eating video. I wouldn't know why that would come on there. Some man mowing grass, Wouldn't be because my dad and my son watch that, all the time. But anyway, I was trying to get it to repeat, and it wouldn't, so I kept having to push, and I was listening to that. And I got thinking, I was thinking about some things he went through with his family, and I thought, you know what? I should have done more. I should have done more to encourage him. I should have probably texted him more, called him. I should have tried to encourage him more. And I did, but I could have done more. I could have done more. And as I was thinking about that and thinking about this, it just goes to show you we don't have a lot of time to make U-turns. I got so upset the other day. I know it's changed now, but I got so mad. I know you wouldn't get mad, but I didn't get mad. I got what's a good word? I didn't get righteously indignated either. I got flustered. Here's a good country word. I got frustrated. Not frustrated, frustrated. F-L-U-S. And I was coming, and Brother Marshall, I was coming by. I was trying to get over to the Food Line parking lot, Dollar General and all. I was trying to get over there. Well, I'm coming through. You can't turn left. There's concrete. And so I thought, well, surely you get out here to this light and it'll be a U-turn light. No U-turn at that light. Go all the way back up to the light at the other. And I know it's different now. But at this time, I promise you, it was this way. You go all the way back up to the Citgo light, and it was no U-turn. So I thought, they got both ends here blocked. I got to go all the way down. And finally, I just went home. I thought, I'm Just, I don't need anything that bad. I'm just going, isn't that terrible? That's the way, one thing I got, I'm going to go home. We'll be fine. Walmart.com, Amazon.com, something.com. They come to my house and I don't even have to be there. Beautiful. And I was thinking, man, there ain't no room to make a U-turn. They fixed it now. You can go down there, I think, at the drugstore, maybe make a U-turn and get where you need to go. But the thing about this enemy stuff, we don't have a chance to make this right much. As I was thinking about with those seats, he was in no way my enemy, but it just made me realize he was my friend. But it made me realize how short of a span of time we have to make things different. It made me realize as I was thinking about this, thinking about that, man, you don't have much time for U-turns. You don't have much time to change things. So let's say you have some enemies. You're not right with God. If you're not obeying the Bible if you don't love them. If that's what it says, and we don't do that, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is what? Sin. So what is it when you don't love your enemies? See, we can't even say that. We don't even want to say that. Do we? Honestly, let's be honest. We don't even want to say it's a sin not to love our enemies. We don't even want to say that. But what did he say? Love them. It didn't say anything else about it, did it? And I'm going to get to the message. I got a good outline, but I want to just hold on right here a minute. Make short accounts with people. Make short accounts with people. Don't string up accounts don't have to move a county every month because you've made enemies. Keep short accounts with people. How do you keep short accounts with people? You don't let them, if you're down there at the Myers Grocery on the corner of Griffith and Burke Mill, they used to keep the tab. Maybe still do, but I think they took a time or two. If you're the right kind going in there, they'll keep the tab for you. But if you ain't, they ain't going to do it. If you don't pay your bills, they're not going to keep the tab for you. But they will. If you pay your bills, they'll keep the tab. And they'll just get out the paper. Some of us don't even know what that is. They'll get a little book out. I'm not talking about a bar tab, okay? I mean a tab where it's a book and they write down, you got a pack of nabs and a Dr. Pepper. And here it is. It's a tab. And some of them guys that go long on them tabs, making the owner very nervous. And some people's employees would go down there and make long tabs on their boss's tab. Anyway, you keep them short. You know what you do with people? Keep short account. If there's something between men and Jordan, it's okay if I put my hand on your shoulder. Okay. No personal contact. I'm just checking right here. We're brothers in another life. Listen, keep short. If something happens if I just feel a little funny about something, and you only had one thing to remember, outside of love Jesus, you know that. Number 2 would be keep short accounts with people. You won't have any regrets that way. But boy, if you just let that thing linger, and before you know it, you got a stack of corpses as big as the Empire State Building over here. You know what I mean by stacks of corpses? Like people that's just, you've just splintered and just left them laying. Now, people that train for the military, they're made to take care of us and whatever that means. So they're not worried about, they're worried about protecting themselves and those guys around them. Ultimately, us. But as believers, we do have to worry about collateral damage. And I know they do too, but I'm just saying, their one objective is to take care of themselves and those around them and us. As believers, we have to worry about collateral damage. It does matter the way you say things. It does matter how you talk about people to other people. It does matter. So we got to be very careful to keep short accounts. Is everybody with me tonight? If you're with me? Two? Dale's with me. Anybody else? Okay. Good. Anybody in the balcony with me? Can you raise your hand? Thank you. I appreciate that. Matthew 10:36. Matthew 10:36. If this teaching Jesus gave in the Sermon on the Mount, and that's where we're at, about loving your enemies is going to work, do you know where it has to start? At home. At home. It must first work in the relationships closest to us. You have to learn to deal with people closest to you before you can impact the world around you. You have to learn to deal with people closest to you before you can impact the world around you. Was people ever dying, Pastor? I understand. You have that counter, Brother Eddie? You can get that. You think you can get that up there? You don't have it. You have it? Okay. What was it at Sunday night, James? 700,000 people in a week. Is that right? Dead. In eternity. 700,000. Before we can impact the world around us, we got to learn to deal with the people closest to us. Matthew 10:36, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. His own household. Now, turn over to Jeremiah 29, verse 7. Jeremiah 29, verse 7. And I'm going to get into it. Jeremiah 29, verse 7. Well, God's really worked me over on this week. Just loving people. I got called this week. I thought I was getting upset at people that were being hateful to people that I love. And that's where it gets me. Can I be transparent? When I see people that I love being hurt by other people, boy, it gets me. You can hurt me and I'll go to bed tonight, I promise. And I'll sleep. Without the aid of any Tylenol PM or anything like it. I don't need hydrocodone to sleep. I don't need, I'm not going to allow you to fill in the blanks because we could be here all night. I go to sleep just fine. But when I see people hurt people that I love, and I know they've tried to help them, boy, it gets me. It gets me. And I had to be careful this week because when I saw some things of people attacking people that I love, and I thought, and if I wasn't careful, I was going to sit there and just get really mad. about these people, hurting the people that I love. And the more I looked at it, the sweeter I got. No. The more I looked at it, the more it was affecting me. Y'all ever done that? The more I read on it, the more I saw, I thought, I just wasn't in a good spot thinking about those people, hurting people I love. But you know, just think for a minute, put yourself in Jesus' place when he was walking on the earth. He came for people that could have cared less about him. He came for people that were so mean to him. And he came for them. He came for you in spite of them. We got to be careful and guard our spirit. Even our enemies, we're supposed to love. Jeremiah 29, verse 7. And seek the peace of the city, whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof ye shall have peace. Now, who's he talking to and what's he talking about? It's Jeremiah. And we know that Israel was in Babylonian captivity, but not all. And so he was basically saying to them, and he was back, but he was saying to them to pray for those in Babylon. And I mean, here's a message from God, really, to all of us. Were they in a bad situation? You better believe it. I mean, they were pagans. They had invaded the land of God's people. They destroyed their city. They burned it down. They set up idols of unknown gods, of pagan gods. They were murderers. Why would I want to pray for them? They don't deserve it. And so Jeremiah was really sending a message to people that they didn't want to be kind to. They didn't want to be nice to. And some of you may be in a similar situation, a bad situation at work or at school, maybe at home. Maybe you're at work and somebody has just stabbed you in the back, or they really give it to you. They've worked you over at work, and God says, hey, I want you to pray for them. I want you to pray for peace for them. And here's the thing. They need you and you need them. Israel needed Babylon just as much as Babylon needed them. Babylon needed Israel praying for them, but Israel needed Babylon. And you and I, though we have a dire situation at home or at work, somebody's really done something evil to you, said something about you, called your name, done something, hey, pray. For what? Look at it again. And seek the peace of the city, whither I have caused you to be carried away captive, and pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof ye shall have peace. So what is he saying? When they have peace, you'll have peace. Now the reason being was they were there amidst the Babylonians. So obviously, if the Babylonians are at peace, they are, which makes sense. But the same goes for you and I. They need us praying for them. But we need them to respond. We need them to respond. And so God has put some of us in situations where maybe rough situations at work, at home. I mean, He's put you right there. I mean, Daniel, just think about all the things they went through. And the three Hebrew boys, God has put some of you, God's put you right where somebody's hurt you deeply. God may have allowed a situation to come full circle where somebody that's hurt you deeply is right there. You know what? God says, love your enemies. Jeremiah told him to pray for the peace in Babylon. When they have it, he said, you'll have it. You know, with all our energy, we can barely hold back the bitterness and hatred in our hearts towards these people. But God says, I want you to love them. I want you to go beyond being refraining. Boy, if they knew me before I got saved, I'll tell you right now, I'd go off on them. If they knew me before I met Jesus, they'd be sorry. You know, God's not expecting us to be like self-controlled pagans. God's expecting us to be Christians. Second mile Christians. And so we don't just hold back bitterness. We don't just hold back hatred till we get by them at a stoplight. He said, I want you to pray for them. I want you to pray for them. And this word for peace here, used 3 times. But it means blessing, it means wholeness, it means completeness. Have you ever prayed for your enemies' wholeness? Their completeness? You ever prayed that? You ever prayed peace for them? Have you? You know, I'm sure this was shocking to these exiles. But really, what God was doing in Jeremiah 29:7 was tying their blessing. He was tying the Babylonians' blessing to what? To their blessing. You see that? God was tying the Babylonians' blessing to their blessing. But it only happened when they prayed for the Babylonians. Could it be that there's a breakthrough in your life that's not happening because you won't let go of an enemy enough to pray for them? Could it be? Could it be something just causing a dam to hold back because you refuse to love your enemy? You refuse to pray for them? Again, they're pagans. The Babylonians are really better off if you're there. But you're better off if they're doing what's right. God says to these discouraged exilees, I know you don't like it in Babylon. Really, that's irrelevant right now. You're going to be there for a while, so settle down and make the best of it. Don't treat the Babylonians like they treated you. And I say to us tonight, don't treat the world like the world treats you. Don't treat the world like the world treats you. There's a step better than that. If all we're going to do is hold back hatred and bitterness, we're no better than the unsaved people. We got to be nice to people that we have every reason not to be nice to. Love people and pray for people. Don't treat the Babylonians like they treat you. Don't treat the world like they treat you. Seek to bless and be a blessing. Pray for the Babylonians. And I say, the world says what? Get even. God says, seek the good of those that hurt you. The world says, get them. Get them. As you see, I think it's happening in Wisconsin now. I'm for every National Guard we got to going down there. Talk about heavy-handed. Amen. Praise the Lord. Help us, Jesus. Amen. God heard my prayer right there. The world says get angry. God says pray for them. The world says don't waste your time loving bad people. God says love them anyway. Pray for them. They need our prayers. By the way, if you don't pray for your enemies, who's going to? Who's going to? Because you're probably not the only one. Would you agree with that? You're probably not the only enemy they have, or vice versa. But if you don't pray for them, who will? If you don't pray for them, how will they ever change? They need to change. I mean change. Well, how much have you prayed for God to change them? If we don't pray for them, how will we ever be free from bitterness? If you can't pray for them, you're obviously not through with the bitterness. And I think sometimes you could probably even still pray for them and still be bitter. But for sure, you won't refuse to pray for somebody if you're not bitter with them. You'll pray for them. They need the prayers, and you need God's blessing on your life. 3 options we have when people hurt us. I haven't got to the good part yet, I'm sorry. 3 options we have when people mistreat us. We could hate them with hatred. Total hatred. Like we could hate them with total hatred. Just hate them. Everybody else is doing that, right? Nobody's going to fault you for that. Everybody else hates them. We can struggle to hold back the anger. And if you do that, if you say, and this is why I say it's not, I'm thankful for people who restrain their anger, but really if you don't deal with the anger, you're not really a spiritually mature. You just got that moment in check. So if I say, I don't have my mask on. I got it on there. If I say, he deals with people a lot more dangerous than me, so I'm going to stand by him. If I say to him, if we get upset at each other, and we're not, I love him. I hope he loves me. We're right, and so, but if I do have something, and I hold it in, like I keep it in, and I think I've done something good. Brother Terry, I've done good because I didn't let him have it. He'd take care of me if I did let him have it. Let's just say, I'm sitting there thinking I'm really restraining myself. But do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get emotionally exhausted. Because every time I see him, that's not true. Every time I see Brother Brad, it's all I can do to stay sane because I'm so mad. You know what happens after a while? You get emotionally tired. You can't do that for long. So what's the answer? Well, number 1 option was what? Hate them. With a whole hatred. Or you can hold back, but I promise you there will be a day when the dam breaks. There will be. Emotionally speaking, you will rupture. You'll rupture. You won't be able to do it forever. Even when they're not around, you know what will start happening? You'll start seeing them, like you're just thinking at night, you're just trying to ease down for bed, and you're thinking about that person, how much you hate them. They're not even there. Emotionally, it's going to get you. And number 3, and this is the best choice, pray for God to bless them. You know what will happen? You know what you're going to find out? God's going to bless you. When you pray for God to bless them, the floodgates will open. God's going to bless you. As long as you hate them with a whole hatred, nope. As long as you, for the sake of my husband, I'm going to hold it in. For the sake of my wife, I'm going to hold it in. For the sake of my children, I'm going to hold it in. For the sake of my church, I wouldn't want anybody to know I went to Freedom acting like that. I'm going to hold it in. Just raise the white flag and pray for them. Pray for God to bless them. Now, when you pray for them, don't pray that a car falls on them or lightning strikes them or the hurricane gets them. Hurricane, what's her name, Laura? Don't pray that prayer. God bless them. And even in me saying that, you can't harbor unforgiveness and bitterness when you sincerely pray for God to bless somebody. Now, if you're just sitting down at a meal and you just want to say it to be heard, That's not real praying. If you sincerely pray, God bless, and you put the name in there. If you can really pray that sincerely, it won't be long till you'll see the blessings of God come in your life when you release them and you pray for them. And though I've used it before, I didn't, Brother Seats was my friend. But one thing I'm regretting today is, man, I should have reached out more when he needed somebody. And how many regrets are we going to have because we didn't pray? You know, God could have salvation or restoration right around the corner for our enemy. Do you know that? He could have salvation or restoration right around the corner for our enemy. But because of our stubbornness and unwillingness to pray for them, you may just be the missing link to be praying for your enemy. For them. And you know what's going to happen when they're saved or they're restored? You know who it's going to be a blessing to? You. Me. You can hate them with a total hatred. You can struggle, hold back emotion, but you'll have an emotional breakdown. Or you can pray for them, that God will bless them. I got 4 minutes, and I want to give you at least 2 of these. I got about 7. I'm going to give you 2, okay? Number 1, how do you move in the right direction to love your enemy? You say, Pastor, it's no secret. We've all got them. How do I move in the right direction to treat my enemies? What should I do? Don't avoid them. Number 1, don't avoid them. Speak to them graciously when you see them. You know, often we miss this one. We do everything in our power to avoid them. Now listen, if there's somebody that's abusing you in some way, this ain't who I'm talking about. You get away and you let the authorities deal with that, and this ain't what I'm talking about. Everybody understand that? This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody, you got a little thing, talk to them. Talk to them. I've seen some good preachers do this. I know people that was mad at them. I mean, mad as fire at them. And you know what they did anyway? Dale's not mad at me. But let's just pretend that he was mad at me and he's trying to walk this way and not look at me. Hey, Brother Dale, how you doing? Good to see you, my man. Give me a hug. Not during COVID, but I'd hug you anyway, Brother Dale. Just catch him. You know what? Somebody, it just, a lot of things can be unsaid that's going to swirl in both of y'all's minds. The best way to get through to an enemy is just speak to him. First, you got to speak to him first. How can anything happen if you don't speak to him? You can't turn the other cheek if you ain't turned the first one. You can't even deal with him. So greet him first. Talk to him. Don't ask, should I speak? I know y'all have all had to. Has anybody ever been in an awkward spot? Would you raise your hand if you've ever been in an awkward spot? Come on, be honest. Balcony, y'all be honest. Thank you. Awkward, like you see somebody and little something. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody know what I'm talking about? One more time. Thank you. A little something, and you just, your wife is over. Should we speak or not? I don't know. Did they see us? We'll just act like we didn't see them, right? They didn't see us. I know they didn't see us. Let's just go on out here and check out. We didn't see them. We saw them, baby. I wouldn't do that. 99 times out of 100, unless I just got out of the garden and got mud up to my elbows, I wouldn't go if I had that. But if I see somebody out, I don't care. Because, my boy, we don't go home and have roast member for church for supper. I just want y'all to know this. My boys don't know any bad things about our church members. Amen. That's the way it ought to be, vice versa. That we don't do that. So when he'll say, there may be something that I know that they don't know, and I go, all they'll say is, Daddy, who was that? I said, that was so-and-so. And what they mean was they didn't know him, but they said, well, Daddy, you know everybody. You talk to everybody. And what I know is, they probably don't love me like they should. But they don't know that. And you know what they're going to know when we get done? That I love them. They don't know nothing. And that's the way it ought to be. Just greet people. Quit avoiding people. I know some of y'all at the grocery store because you ain't, got all your makeup on, ladies, and you don't want to see nobody. If you don't want to see nobody, I got a solution for you. Walmart.com. They ought to give me some money for this. I'm teasing. Amazon.com, it works. And Chewy.com. If you got pets, Chewy.com works great. And vitamins, let's see. What's that place? Puritan. There's one Puritan place. There's a name, Puritan Pride. I think that's one of them, maybe. I don't know. But, if you're going to go out, enemies, the best way to do that? Don't avoid them. Don't avoid them. Because all you're going to do is prove to them that they were right about you. All you're doing when you avoid them is prove to them that they were right about you. You're no different than anybody else. Am I right? It's hard, but I'm right. All they're going to say, I knew it. I knew they were stuck up anyhow. I knew they weren't nice, hateful. They're going to say something. No, they're going to say it anyway. When you go speak to them, guess what they're going to say when you leave? Probably something bad. But it's okay. Greet your enemy. You can't even make things right if you don't greet them. When a number comes through, let it go to voicemail. Now I have to let mine. If y'all call me, it's probably going to voicemail. I'm not being unkind. I'm on the phone or I'm talking to somebody. It's not because I'm sitting there looking at all the numbers. And I don't think I want to talk to them. It's just the way, it's just the way that you can only take so many. You can't put so many on hold. It only goes so far. But greet them. Number 2, can I have 3 more minutes? 3 more minutes. Disarm them. Don't avoid them. Disarm them. And this is more than speaking to them. This is when you go the second mile. You disarm them. They're ready to fight when the minute they see you out somewhere, because they're your enemy, right? Whether it's on social media or whether it's in person, they're ready to fight because they're your enemies. Disarm them. How do you disarm them? Doing the very thing that they least expect. How do you disarm an enemy? You do the very thing that they least expect. Speak well of them when nobody expects it. We can all do that. We need to practice this. Speak well of people when others aren't. Speak well of people when they're the brunt of the water break talk. Speak well of them. Come in and throw cold water on their little conversation. Speak well of them. Don't rebuke them. Just speak well of the person they're talking about. They just gave you 10 reasons why they don't like this person. You give them one good reason why they need to stop, and that person's good. You don't have to rebuke them. Just say something good. You know what it does when you do that? It disarms them. General Robert E. Lee said this. He was asked about one of his fellow officers. And he knew this fellow officer was a great detractor. He didn't like him. Robert E. Lee knew it. Guess who else knew it? Everybody else. Everybody knew it. So one day they asked him about this gentleman. And here's what Robert E. Lee said. He said, I think the man is a very fine officer. Now, this is a man that's talked about Robert E. Lee up and down. He says to them, I think he's a very fine officer. And they said, but General. He was quite perplexed, you know. He was sitting there fidgeting because he knew that was not what and that's not what he wanted to hear, right? He wanted something bad. He wanted something juicy for the news. He said, well, I guess you don't know what he's been saying about you. Do you know what he's been saying about you? He's trying to, you know, people all the time trying to stir up something. Just stir up. Hey, let's just be at peace. You ain't got to stir nothing. I like putting bacon in the oven. You know why? Because you ain't got to mess with it. Just let it cook. Quit stirring up stuff. People, you just leave. You don't never kick a sleeping dog. Just let stuff, don't stir. Some people just got to stir. So I said, I guess you don't know what he's been saying about you. Here's what Robert E. Lee said. He said, oh, yes, I do. Yeah, I know what he's been saying. He said, but I've been asked my opinion of him, not his opinion of me. Oh, we need good character now. In this day of just sloppy media, just saying stuff, stirring up stuff, God's people ought to be upstanding and above. Man, I love to hear somebody that chooses their words wisely and is very careful about saying anything negative. I just love it. Because it's so abnormal today. I mean, people bait you to say stuff about somebody now. And you know what? They just fall into the trap. Some of these officers here, I guarantee you in a week's time, you get baited 20 or 30 times. People bait you, wanting you to respond, react. The world does that to us. Don't give them something to talk about. Disarm them. How do you disarm them? Be nice. Do something they least expect. Number 3, do good to them. Do good to them. Verse 27. Matthew 5, verse 27. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. Verse 35. Not by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king, neither shalt thou swear by, that's not the verse where I need to be yet. Verse number 22 is where I need to be. 21. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. Whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whoso shall say to his brother, Raca, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Look at verse 23. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and thou rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, what does it say? Leave there thy gift before the altar, go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. We need to make things right. Do good to people. You know what the Bible says it'll do? It'll heap coals. Now, that's not for punishment's sake. That's for doing right for your sake, for God's sake. Doing right. Do good. Don't avoid them. I went over 3 minutes. Don't avoid them. Disarm them. How do you disarm them? Don't get baited. Don't get baited. Don't let them bait you with a conversation, with their words. Don't do it. And then do something good to them. Do good to them. They won't know what to think. You know what it'll do? It'll heap coals on their head. They won't know how to respond. They won't know how to act. Do good. I'm done. You know what I don't want? I don't want to have any enemies. Now, am I going to have enemies? Absolutely. Are you going to have enemies? Yeah. You're going to have them. But I don't have to react like an enemy. If you love them, you're really not their enemy. They may think they're your enemy. If you love them like God says love them, in your heart they're not. What can you do with them? Hate them? Hold back? Not for long. Pray that God will bless them. Pray that God will bless them. We'll finish the other ones next week. Church, will you join me in trying? And I know it's hard. But let's just take baby steps tonight to love our enemies. Let's take some baby steps. You know what the first one is? Pray for them. That's a big one. But when you see them, speak to them. Speak to them. You're never going to show them the love of Jesus unless you speak to them. Be kind to them. Let's pray. Father, thank you.